Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another AoE 2 Pro playing AoE 4. That's right. He's double-digited up because he's looking for double the fun, as he's going to be playing England in the blue up against Running, who's playing the Abbasid Dynasty in the red. So let's get this one underway. The map is Confluence. I actually quite enjoy watching this map. The choke points do make for some interesting kind of strategic plays. I've yet to really see someone utilize the sea for like a flank maneuver with ships, but I have seen certain factions opt to just build on the water to get access to these fishing points, which aren't too bad actually. Gavin writes on shoreline fishing is about the same as sheep. Same as sheep. Of course, I think the faction that I haven't seen do it so far, because I haven't really been seeing much of them, that I think would benefit the most is Rust, just because you could build like a dock right next to your base and then send them all the way upriver and never have them return, which is amazing, right? Wouldn't it be great if you could just take something in your life, tell it to leave, never come back, but every once in a while it just sends you income home, right? That'd be great. You know, like, done with raising the child, I don't want them anymore, but if they are going to send me a paycheck for my effort I put in earlier to produce them, then so be it. Okay, I'd be a terrible parent. That's what we're learning here quickly. Anyway, though, focusing on the openings in terms of Villi generation, it looks like there's going to be a lot of people working on food for Capoch. Meanwhile, in Running's base, he's got a decent amount of people on wood. Looks like 5 people on wood currently to 6 on food. Nobody switching across to gold. Okay, there we go. Capoch has got some on gold, but right now Running isn't coming anywhere in that vicinity. Instead, he's just focusing on getting this extra food and wood. Wouldn't be surprised if he... Yeah, he does the dock. Okay, there we go. I talked about it. And even though, like I said, these rates that you gather from the shoreline fish is about the same as sheep, it's still a good play, right? Because you are generating these units out of a different building, which means that you're actually using your town center to generate your wood and gold producers and stone as well, right? So interesting he opts for this. Capoch doesn't touch it at all. Capoch, of course, just interested more in using his wood elsewhere because... Okay, that sounded wrong. Because he needs it for the longbowman spam, right? You're just filling on that idea when you play as England, and it looks like he's going to look to invest in that. Especially against Abbasid Dynasty, I think it makes a lot of sense. For a start, Abbasid's early defense is usually spearmen. And outside that, if you try and stalemate a little bit, I think Abbasid Dynasty eco-booms a lot quicker into the second, third age than England does. So I just like that he's going to be all in on this longbow, trying to get some harassment. Because if you can actually eke out an eco advantage through harassing with your melee, then of course you can stay ahead, because in the late ages, you know, England isn't a joke itself having access to the quicker gathering rates from farms and the cheaper farms. Now, the interesting part is that if he does continue to his current waypoint location, he'll even find what Running is doing on the ocean. And remember, these fishing ships have 0 resistance to range and only 125 health. So like 8 or 9 longbowmen will just burn through these ships pretty quick before they can break away. And even if they do break away, where else are they going to go? They literally have one dock that they can return to, and that's it. More sheep being gathered over here. Almost completed on the melee landmark tech up. Meanwhile, House of Wisdom has been built, but he doesn't have the resources to research yet. So he will be behind in terms of tech up. So Capoch will get his assault out, and I don't know if Running, with this investment, remember, he's investing the wood into the water with even more fishing ships. The problem he might have is he doesn't have the ample wood production to then just start building into barracks to defend himself early. He is going to invest into the turtle, though. So that is what I was kind of expecting to see. He's going to get the palisades up. He needs to do it on the other side as well, obviously, which is why he has a guy going over there. But that means more wood just being invested here. It means that there won't be a military presence. While by the time that maybe Running's thinking about building a racks, Capoch should have maybe 9, 10 longbowmen out. And remember, those longbowmen, once you get the blacksmith, they can just build the battering rams for you. So there is going to be a moment in this game, a critical moment, where Running has to catch up military-wise. It's just a case of whether Capoch will be able to burn through the palisade wall to threaten him quick enough, though. In fact, I'd love to actually see Capoch running a villager forward here. Reason being is you could actually get a forward outpost, and it gives you a fallback point if there is a military presence where you have a 25% attack speed buffer, right? Now, this being said, if we look at vision, remember that Capoch has waypointed himself into a stealth forest. This is actually a smart move, and done intentionally, by the way. The reason being is he doesn't want what he's doing to be revealed to Running yet, who might be in the neighborhood. But the kind of flip side is because he doesn't have a scout here yet. There we go. Now he's fixing it. Once he has a scout here, he'll have ample information. And this is going to be cool because he has ambush factor at that stage. It means he can get the critical mass of longbowmen to kill off these fishing ships before engaging them. And we'll see if he waits for that. No, he's actually just going to go straight for it. Now, this is interesting because this will allow running to instantly react and start to just basically return the goods and retreat the fishing ships. I don't know if this was the play. It does obviously stop the food eco, so in Capoch size, it's not too bad. But this does mean he can come back on it later. In fact, look, yeah, he already starts building the dock up here. So that ambush value, I think if you wait till like 10, 11 longbowmen, you snipe out 2 of those fishing boats at least, that is a decent investment. It's 60 wood, maybe 180 wood. But in his eyes, he's just looking and going, okay, I'd rather just stop his food production right at this second. The problem he now ran into is he's discovered these palisade walls. He doesn't really have enough longbowmen to really threaten pass with a siege yet, and he doesn't even have a blacksmith. Because remember, Capoch constantly is investing all of his wood into making longbowmen. So we'll have to see if that switches up. Okay, so yeah, he's getting the outpost here. So this is cool because this will ensure that he has a fallback point if he does get harassed out of the base, and also, you know, if you choose to try and build these Dao Archer ships, you maybe have a counter. The problem is the Dao Archer ship's going to be too quick. You see this, right? I'm pretty sure running sees this. No, he doesn't! He doesn't have vision in the forest! Okay, he's going to get it. He moves close enough. So Capoch's going to have his villagers sniped out here. Meanwhile, Capoch did go towards the palisades, but now with this Archer ship, he should be repelled by running. And remember, Capoch hasn't played under the water at all, which means this intersection is going to be completely in the control of running. And in fact, if he repels him from here, running can then send his ships over to this crossing point, and he can eliminate these longbowmen, these slow-moving longbowmen, one by one as they try to cross. Really, really cool. That being said, do remember that these have a shorter range, so you kind of have to catch the longbowmen off guard, but it does mean that whenever you're transitioning to these areas, that's when running could potentially strike with just a few arrow ships. And he's now bringing the fishing boats back because he thinks it's safe. Little does he know, there's enough longbows here to kill off fishing ships if he's quick. One more salvo. Gets one. That was costly. I think he got... Yeah, so he gets 2 of the longbowmen, right? So if you math that out, it's actually a trade in favor of running because it's 60 wood compared to the 100 wood you're spending on longbows, right? So not a great trade for Capoch. Capoch really has to rethink his strat now. Does he try and eco-boom up? Because how will you siege, right? This is the problem he has, is even crossing these kind of bridged areas, you're going to lose multiple units to just a few arrow ships. So you either play into the dock as well, which he's doing, or you try and tech up. But instead, yeah, he's going to opt to go on the water as well and look to build the galleys. Okay, that is actually a pretty cool kind of counter out. So if he succeeds in this, he'll eliminate the food eco of running, but also he'll have the choke points controlled, which means he'll box in his opponent. You have to keep in mind that if running scouts this out, though, he will be an inherent disadvantage. The good news for Capoch is that running isn't looking. Like, right now, the Abbasid Dynasty is just chill. They're like, yo, now we boom. Now we boom, so your hope for winning game goes boom. But right now, he's not even fully booming, right? Because he hasn't got his second TC yet, which I still think is worthwhile doing even when you've got docks like this. He has started to gather stone, so we might see that switch up in a moment. Meanwhile, on Capoch's side, what's he looking like? So not enough wood to try and invest into a TC, and he has no one working on stone just yet, and I don't expect that to change now that he's double docked, because he needs to get a military force onto the water, which means he actually needs to dedicate a lot of people to gold, because remember, these galleys, they cost 180 gold each. For comparison, the Dao ships are only 90 gold. A lot more squishy. In a one-on-one, you'll win out with your attack ships, but as you can see, the weakness is that you're investing more economy as England to try and contest on the water here. And I do believe it uses more pop cap, right? Yeah, Daos are half the pop cap. So this is kind of like a mini Hulk factor when you think about it. English galleys are nowhere near as good as the early Hulks for France, I will say that much. But they are like the tier below. The reason why England doesn't necessarily seem OP on the water is because when you think about the power of France, everyone's just using France right now. When you think about Ross, we talked about the mass conversion of fishing boats gives you quite an advantage. But yeah, in terms of chase down, if you can actually force your opponent back, you can see the way these galleys work firing forward, you will have an advantage. I just don't know if the advantage is worth an extra 90 gold. Like, if I look at the difference, it's 50 extra health and 1 extra resistance, 2 extra damage. It does feel a little bit wonky. I don't know if this will be like buffed and maybe you bring galleys down to like 140 cost. I don't know if that's too good then. But yeah, the Gallia will chase. The fishing boat will not be sniped in time, though. And this trade could get a little bit awkward for Capoch. He's going to back away. Good reasoning behind this because of the dock. He needs to get 3, maybe 4. And then he'll be able to trade out and just obliterate these archer ships even under the protection of a dock. But he has baited him far out. So this should force a retreat, but Running's not paying attention right now. So instead, it's going to be 3 versus 1. He baits him in because they're auto-attacking. The auto-attack drags out the Dow. He's going to snipe one of them, and he should get the second as well. Running, caught, not looking, is not even going to successfully run away here as he loses both of the Dow archer ships, and now his fishing lines will be exposed. And he hasn't invested more here, by the way. It almost seems like he's given up on the water because of this. So we'll have to see what else he does instead. He did get the second TC, so he's booming there. Meanwhile, Capoch, because of this investment, this is the cool thing, Running probably feels confident to surrender the water. Because he sees this many galleys coming out, it means that a heavy wood investment was being committed by Capoch, which means he can't possibly have a second TC yet. And he's read it right. So in terms of eco, Running should be ahead in almost every regard. Capoch is just munching down those trees as quickly as possible, but food and gold still ahead for Running. And when we look at the Villi count as well, Running up at 42 and has teched up first. Meanwhile, 41 for Capoch. And keep in mind, this difference is hard felt, right, in this matchup because the Abbasid Dynasty, while you have to invest workers to build your landmarks, the Abbasid Dynasty doesn't. They just click a button here. That's the crazy part about the Abbasids, in my opinion. So he's able to do that tech up, all the while keeping his eco booming. Whereas if Capoch had tried to eco up, he would have had to sacrifice some of his worker force working to generate resources to just get the tech up. It's one other element, like one small detail that I think makes Abbasid Dynasty quite powerful. It'll be interesting to see if they keep it this way or if they change it as time goes on. I don't know if they necessarily will, because it's a give and take, right? I think the way you have to think about it is you don't get access to a new powerful landmark, right? You don't get like longbowmen coming out of a building. You don't get a giant fortress from committing to a landmark. But at the same time, you do get access to all these unique resources, such as increased gold from trade and gathering rate improvements for farms and more drop-off resources from villages, which is a pretty big deal. But back onto the Navy. It looks like Running's coming out again. Understanding that Capoch has committed this much means he's not taking up, and he's getting cut off instead. And he can't handle these attack ships. These attack ships will trade very favorably with the galleys. So we'll continue to chase him. I wouldn't be surprised if he chases him all the way upriver towards his dock. And keep in mind, with 50 damage, these things can do decent damage to buildings as well. So 5 galleys being repaired against 2 attack ships. I think you should be fine here, but if he brings out more bagglers, you're going to be in trouble. And sail speed being researched. Another galley out. Trying to snipe in. He's under an outpost now, so he needs to back away. Remember, the network of castles does affect the galleys as well, which is why Capoch was confident in his backup to turn around. And that will force Running away. But notice he doesn't pursue because he doesn't want to be fighting outside the influence of an outpost. And of course, I do believe bagglers have the additional range, correct? 5 tiles to the... Oh, no, actually, sorry. There's a slight range advantage. Yeah, just ever so slightly for the galleys. But remember, they're directional fire, whereas the baggler ships can do the broadside shooting, where you basically switch left to right to left to right. Not as strong, of course, in a river. In fact, they should be kind of grateful that in this game, there's no realism factor of if you tried to swivel left to right in these rivers, you'd probably be land-hoed. Interesting to commit a dock down here. So I think there's only... Is there only 1 fishing point? Yeah, I mean, it's 1,000 food, so I guess it's kind of okay. Like, it's 180 wood, then it's also the dock as well. So you're spending about around 330 wood to get 1,000 food. Better offer than the marketplace gives you, I guess. So not the worst choice in the world from Capoch. And he was down here anyway, just trying to wall off and protect this area. So he's boxed in his area. There hasn't been an expansion attempt yet. I'll be interested to see if that happens anytime soon. I'd love to see Capoch move up and secure a second island and go for like a forward TC into a forward base rush. But I think his big concern right now is he needs to landmark up, which he should be building a landmark somewhere. Yeah, there it is. So there's his third TC. He could have potentially went forward and placed it on a different island, but I think this was his concern. He didn't know if his opponent was going to attack him, and he is. Running is coming in right now. He actually has gone for the early mangonels. He's been constructing, because remember, this is another kind of bonkers thing the Abbasids do. They construct their siege units out in the field with their infantries. So Springald plus Mangonel And there's only Longbow. Remember, Capoch stopped producing here because he went into the water. And that's the cool thing that Running identified. He knows that there can't be really that much in the way of land for Army because he hasn't seen it in ages. And more importantly, he's seen so many galleys come out. And if Capoch is looking for a tech-up timing, which he's about to get the confirmation of, then he knows that the military is weak right now for Capoch. Yeah, there's the confirmation. So you need to make a move quick as Running. The reason being is, while you do have these eco boom moments, keep in mind that Capoch gets his tech up, but also gets access to another TC in the process, because usually most players will do this. And now he's on the double TC, so he's matching up, because I think it's still only double TC. No, it's tripped. Okay, there we go. So Running gets his third TC out. He's ahead again. But he now needs to apply pressure because he needs to utilize this eco before it maybe comes and bounces back in Capoch's favor, where in these later phases, when you start to transition over to farms, you get that increased gathering rates due to the influence, being up at now 25% increased gather rate from farms. I'm moving through. Oh, yeah, that's right. You can go across these. I totally forgot about this. It doesn't look like you should be able to, folks, but yes, you can sail through these choke points. I get them mixed up because obviously the bridges you cannot. Makes a bit more sense that you can't go for the bridges. I think we call BS if you could. But Running, this Springald army is becoming frustrating. I don't know what Capoch's counter is to it right now. Yeah, okay, so he's counter Springholding with Springholds himself. But remember, like, he doesn't produce them anywhere near as quicker because he has to build the siege workshops to then build them. Whereas Running, in the meantime, as soon as he's got the resources, just clicks a few dudes and starts building one. Now, the cool thing that you do have here is a pinch maneuver. And we're going to see it. Capoch, he's moving in. He's got multiple galleys here, and he's in range of the Springholes, so he's going to force them inland because they won't be able to retreat through here. Arch ship's going. Demo ship being targeted down. Doesn't get close enough. He was looking for the cheeky play. Won't be able to find it. Mangonels could do decent damage here, by the way. Rocks come flying in. Actually, doesn't spread to the other ships, surprisingly enough. And that will force the Bagglers to pursue. I think he got, yeah, one of these Springles down, and I think he got the Mangonel as well. So not too bad coming out from Capoch. He needs to start training with these Bagglers. He actually can take them down before they can take him down. But he's just trying to completely max kite this because he has the additional range. Meanwhile, Running says, okay, if you're going to do this, I'm going to commit in. Battering ram constructed. 2 Springles against 3 here, but remember the archers are here to assist Capoch. However, he's already lost one of the Springles because he wasn't paying attention. Second one gets sniped out, and now the movement in for the man-at-arms, which counter out the Longbowman. This battering ram working its way very quickly through the King's Palace. It's not going to take very long. He did finally secure the ocean, but he was too late. If anything, Capoch needed to push him while the Springles were still there. Longbow still running. Villagers getting caught up in the nuisance as the men-at-arms charge even deeper in the base. They see the barracks, and now the man-at-arms are starting to be spammed out by Capoch. He needs to reach that critical mass before engaging, though. He's still outnumbered here, as there are 9 men-at-arms just pursuing all of his longbows. And meanwhile, the villagers, they forced to come out. A small contingent of man-at-arms are just burning through these villies as quickly as they're burning through the battering ram. They'll finally take it down, but remember, he doesn't actually have enough room to garrison all of these, so he has to keep retreating. Meanwhile, any retreat attempt is now cut off as Capoch has his galleys blocking the reinforcements, and he kites all of the man-at-arms in range of these galleys to just snipe out all of the soldiers with the shields. And this is the moment where Running, he takes this opportunity to start constructing more defenses back in base. This should be where he starts to melee boom up a little. He could go for the tech up, and I think that's the plan here. He almost has the required food. Meanwhile, Capoch is nowhere near because he invested so much into this defense. Man-at-arms on man-at-arms. Springle's now coming out. And eco-wise, Capoch is hurting right now. It's 100 on eco from Running compared to Capoch just at 50. And remember, he's got idle times because he keeps having to move them away from the front line here, which is in his own base. So Capoch really needs to move out of his base and look to try and aggress onto red side of the map, or Running is just going to be running away with this match. Still a single man-at-arms screwing with the farm line at the back. God damn it. So we need to send some lads over to deal with that. He's starting to up his gold production as he's tapping into multiple gold veins here. Meanwhile, I think Running should be close to a point where he needs to expand. Yeah, he has in the south. Okay, so he's already moved over the berry bushes, but he's probably going to look to set up a forward base soon so he can start tapping into these gold veins, especially on this south side island. Let's check out the scouting info. Oh, wow. What? No. Wait. Okay, so I think Running... Running is the only one that knows about this double gold vein of 8,000 each. So this is a huge eco advantage he can tap into that Capoch isn't even aware of. Capoch, meanwhile, he scouted a reasonable amount at the top. He didn't see any gold veins up here, so Capoch might just think that it's an equal generation situation where there's only gold on your main island. And he'd be wrong. There's so much gold in this South Island that he's just not aware of. Yeah, he doesn't... I don't think he even sees this one. He maybe just about sees the small gold vein, and that's literally it. So I don't know how heavily he's going to play into this, but this would be an amazing point for Running to expand into. And if Capoch matches this movement after he gets walls up and moves into this island, we're going to have an amazing mid-game fight ahead of us. Meanwhile, Galleys on patrol here. I don't know if he spotted out the keep. It looks like he lost the ship somewhere, so I think he might have spotted out the keep and lost it. Meanwhile, Bagler ship being rebuilt up by Running, and Imp Age has been tapped into. Capoch really far behind now, and I have to question where he's going to get the gold and the food to maintain an army and also tech up, because he's behind in both regards, in my opinion. Like, if you actually think about Running's eco, the situation he's in, he can field a huge army almost instantly. Look at the food difference. Capoch only getting about 400. It's over 2,000 a minute for Running, which means he can just field a ginormous army of spearmen or even go for the man-at-arms. And right now, you don't actually have a counter or a solution to this as Capoch. The cool thing Capoch could try and do is go towards getting Carracks. Once he gets Carracks, he can actually siege his fort. And if you actually look at this situation, Running has a huge amount of his eco exposed. And this is maybe a highlightable difference that the game drags down into the late game situation. Is right now, Running has played most of his food eco towards the shore. Not even in terms of it being fishing ships, it's just where all of his farms are. If you look on the other side of the map, Capoch, he's got a more retracted economy. Because he was assaulted early, he was forced to actually produce towards the back of his base, which means that his economy is less exposed in comparison to his opponent. I guess the other thing to highlight is it's one of those situations also where being behind is kind of an advantage for Capoch. Because if you think about it this way, Capoch is behind, right? In terms of gathering this gold, which means he's not exposing his eco outside his main base. And if there's a skirmish in the middle of the map here, because Running's moving a lot of his eco out, he could be exposed. But he already reads that and understands it, so he builds into the keep. So this is cool. This will cover him as he goes to the gold expansion. I'm kind of surprised he didn't do it to the one down here, because he did have vision of this one. But it's kind of within the influence, so you can still expand down to that gold vein and be somewhat protected. Meanwhile, Zebek's been built, so this is the siege warship. And remember, Capoch doesn't have a great solution to this right now. In fact, he's not even building on the ocean, and I don't think you can afford to ignore the ocean anymore. You actually need to get a solution out. You need to get maybe just an amassment of Hulks to get through these Zebeks, but with 1,700 HP, they are so stupidly tanky, it's ridiculous. Yeah, he's not even constructing out of them. So I'm wondering what the plan is. I really don't think the plan is Springald. I don't think Springald's really counter out the warships. I'm trying to think what really does in this situation. I mean, look, you actually trade not too bad. The problem is, even with the healing, you're eventually going to die. The problem is you need like 4 galleys maybe. And it just makes these Carracks a much more like economically sound investment for Running compared to what Capoch's doing. As yeah, these ships aren't even attacking. It's literally just the Zebek, and it's already almost got rid of one of the galleys. It's going to move him in and corner him now. Because he's taking a lot of damage on that warship, and you preferably want to keep it up and running. So that's one down. They should be able to snipe out the other one pretty quick as well. So the Zebek should just about survive, and then he can start to just siege down everything that's on the forward side of Capoch's base here. It might be problematic if he heads up towards the keep, but he can actually control this area at least, get rid of marketplace, get rid of the docks, etc. To see if that's what he opts to do. Second Zebek, so he actually might... I think if he gets about 4 Zebeks, he could actually take out the keep and completely choking Capoch, making sure he can't get out of his base. The galleys chase straight past one Zebek, just heading to the injured one. So this warship should fall. It's reacting to attack, but it's not reacting to move away, so... Possibly lost there, but he did get one of the docks already, and he is keeping pressure on to stop them from building more from the other dock as well. Meanwhile, Running, continue to expand, now has one of the sacred sites. He could go up Hincap the second to just force reactions out of Capoch and also generate more gold. Because that's the thing, right now, he's actually not spending a lot of his resources. If anything, he could do with a full military base that allows him to just basically funnel his troop investment quicker, right? And there it is. Yeah, that's what he's doing. Just as we talk about it. The barracks are going down, the siege workshop as well. And this should be where we just see him transition into bombard cannons, completely alleviate these stone walls in the blink of an eye. Council Hall soon to fall. Trying to get some value out of it before it does by getting the upgrade to Veteran Longbowman. He might just about eke out the tech before it falls. He has finally caught up to Impage, but now he needs a solution now that he's arrived. He has gone for the Wineguard Palace. Okay, this is a cool one, guys. So this one produces a Longbowman, a Spearman, a Man-at-Arms, a Knight, and a Trebuchet, all for the cost of 100 food, 100 wood, 200 gold. It's a bargain. Of course, the catch is it takes a while. It takes a minute and 15 seconds to produce. But if enough time is bought, you will save a lot of economy building up an army this way. And it gives you a nice balance that you can essentially have a siege force. The most important detail, in fact, is the Trebuchet. For those that aren't aware, Trebs are 500 wood and 250 gold for the counterweight Trebs. So you can also already see that you're paying less and getting more, right? Like, this is less than what a single Trebuchet would cost you. And you're getting additional units as well. I think one of the balancing issues around it, though, is you have to make sure you're kind of, to get full value, you really have to have teched up all of the different types. So, like, you know, get the elite Man-at-Arms, and get the elite Spearmen as well. Same with the Knights. Otherwise, it's, like, less valuable. But all in all, the Trebs alone make it worthwhile. For comparison, by the way, a counterweight Treb takes 40 seconds to produce. Or you do it in a minute and 15 seconds. And you get a bunch of free extras, right? It's like honestly, it's like the guy sold you the car, and he's like, but do you want like a pram? Do you want a seat for your kid in the back? How about like, you know, comforters and warmers for your seats and a cup holder as well? I'll take a cup holder. The Spearman's the cup holder for those that are wondering. So now you can get maybe 3 Trebs. In the meantime, you can have Springwalds coming out from his siege workshop, and then he'll have a force that should be able to repel the next attack and move forward. And he has to assume that his opponent is going for bombards, right? Like, it's just a given. Once you hit Imp this quick, you should be amassing bombards when you've got an advantage because they plow through the enemy base so quick. The way bombards have been designed, it's all about a quick snowball to end the game. And it's not uncounterable, but you do have to have something in place or something planned to counter it. That's to say, it's very hard to react to a bombard spam. I think once someone reaches about 6 bombards, if you haven't got anything in place, like, you just treacle in and die. It's really tough. Another interesting part to me is, did he get the splash? I always forget if the splash is available for your Trebs. Yes, it is. Okay, Shatter on projectiles. It's really pricey, though, and he's actually busy investing in Springald, so he hasn't done it yet. But once you have like 3 or 4 Trebs, it could be very much worthwhile getting Shattering projectiles, which means that Trebuchets do an AoE damage. Bombard cannon a bit exposed. It's going to chase out onto it. There's still another bombard cannon attacking, and he reveals all the Man-at-Arms. That is a lot of elite Man-at-Arms. It's actually 40, and remember, these haven't even been upgraded by England yet. Springald gets trapped outside of the walls, and the Villies as well. Oh my god, they flood through the broken wall because the wall was broken by running. Capoch will get the majority of these villages to safety, helped out by his opponent here. That being said, there is an overwhelming number of Man-at-Arms here charging through, and there is no solution because mangonels have not been built by Capoch. Has finally got the Carrack. A Carrack which, by the way, isn't really doing any damage here. It's almost like these are anti-siege units primarily, as we see them just tickling these Man-at-Arms who have too much resistance. The walls are going to fall. Carrack to try and cover the crossing. If anything, he needs to snipe out the bombards, but he doesn't have vision because of the tree line in the stealth forest. Instead, now the Carrack's forced to retreat away because the Man-at-Arms Zerg almost burns down one. In fact, they might get it. They do sink the Carrack in time. So the Man-at-Arms already getting their value here. They will be reinforced as well. He's rebuilding the army already. He's even starting to get Camel Riders in, which should have the buff aura, I believe. Because I don't know, actually. Did he get it? He's got the melee wing. He never got camel support, so he doesn't care about the extra armor. It's less important in this ultra late game if you have this type of advantage, but on even footing is very important. That being said, the Zeveks trying to cut off the Carracks. However, they get caught under the influence of the keep, so they are going to suffer here. That's the other thing. Remember, these Carracks hit 25% faster, means that they will definitely trade better. And he's if anything, he's going to be counting his lucky stripes that the network of Citadels was never researched, which would have doubled that attack speed buff. Now, if I'm Capoch, the play here in this situation, you kind of want to get a cannon fodder army to the front, and you actually want to build a forward outpost here, so you have attack speed buff in this choke point. So the next time you're engaged, you have the advantage. I believe the attack speed buff does even work on Mangonels, and that's where this could get broken. If he brings out a Mangonel or two against this man-at-arms Zerg, he will completely obliterate Running's army in the blink of an eye. The problem he is having is Running is giving him nowhere but one way to go as he goes for the forward keep. I would love to just see Running build some military buildings here and then invade through the north as well. Because Capoch right now does not have the military influence to handle a fight on two fronts. Not to mention the economy. Just look at the difference. Running could easily invest in this. He has 15,000 food right now. So if he chooses to invest in a second military line, there is no way Capoch keeps up. And wow, the Wingard Palace isn't even producing more of these armies right now. He doesn't have the gold. So he's not getting more trebs out. The other units is kind of worthwhile, but it feels bad when you have these trebs and you have no way of using them right now, which is the case. And the Bombards, sniping out the Carracks. They're trading well as well. Springel's trying to snipe out a Bombard, but he can't get the final hit. He has to retreat. Demo ship. Oh! Running's army is gone! Capoch with the big brain play! The demo ship to just demolish Running's army here! And now he has to completely reconstruct! And he has practically no units here. The only issue is Capoch doesn't have much himself. He doesn't have a land army to chase out with here. But the demo ship may have just breathed a moment of life into Capoch's game here. As he moves out with his army of 3, the bombard cannons are too much for him to assault though. And these static defenses alone would be able to hold Capoch back. He needs to find a lot of resources. He needs to find it fast. He's completely limited on the gold front. He actually has no way of getting gold right now because remember, he's boxed into the north where there's no gold, and the south is completely controlled by Running. So he's really budgeted towards Spearmen, if anything else. I don't know if it's possible, to be honest. I think it's mainly just going to be Spearman Zerg plus artillery to support. But right now, because of the time that's being bought by Running, he'll be able to rebuild this army before Capoch has anything to show for an amazing big brain play with the demo ship. He's blocking is still in place. Final wall's going to crumble. Nothing to hide behind. He's making more demo ships as well. I don't know if you get to make that play twice, though. Once in a game is godly enough, but twice... I don't know. I wasn't 100% sure if it was going to do full damage with the demo ship, so maybe Running didn't know either. But now that he knows it, he's not going to get caught out by it again. The Elite Horsemen do charge in. He's just looking to utilize his food to the fullest. Doesn't have to waste the gold in this. He can keep investing gold into the siege and just use these guys as cannon fodder to charge forward. As he looks to the back lines, the bombard cannon now focusing into the keep. The demo ship is finally complete. Where's he going to use it, though? If he goes to the bombard cannons, this will be god tier. But the problem is he sees the demo ship with the horsemen. So he will not be getting caught out with the bombard cannons this time. He backs them up completely. And the horsemen plow straight through into the eco line. Capoch is so exposed back here. All of these woodcutter lines. There's nowhere for them to hide. There's way too many villagers. And now the man-at-arms charge in as well, keeping the Springles busy and away from the horsemen so they can make their magic work. Even sniping out these mini caravans that have been trying to get their value back. The bombard cannons moving in now. We'll sink the ships and look to sink all the docks. And Capoch, I don't think he's gonna go much longer than this. I don't think there's much left he can do. The horsemen are in, harassing the eco lines. Not that there's much economy left to just eat up on this island for Capoch, as he's finally done it Running despite the setback, despite booming one of his armies. He builds and instantly another one. Says, I got the money for it. Hire the mercs like there's nothing. Boom. What a game.